Zoom platform. I would also like to request all the online students to also switch on a cameras if you can, so that we can national relations optional paper. And as you know very well that optional is a very important choice which you have to make in your journey as a civil service aspirant. In order to qualify this particular examination, optional can become a make or break choice. If you choose the right optional paper and you get the requisite number of marks which are required, this can help you greatly in succeeding in this particular examination. That is why students, all of you must be having a lot of doubts on which optional paper I should opt for, which should be the best choice for me. That is the reason why our institute, we are conducting series of optional workshops on different optional papers, so that we can address all your doubts and queries regarding that. And today we're going to have an optional workshop on political science and international relations. Both of us will take up this workshop. We both are faculty members for the PSR optional in Vajiram and Ravi. My name is Iqbal Singh, and my esteemed colleague Dr. Sushant Verma, he also takes up classes on PSR optional. Both of us, we take PSR optional. So we are going to take up this workshop with you. The entire workshop, students, is going to be divided into 3 sections. Initially, Sushant sir will explain to you why is optional important, and also he will explain to you about PSIR paper 1. That what is the syllabus of the PSIR paper 1, what are the topics which are most important topics, and what approach you should have while doing PSIR paper 1, so that you get a hang of what do you study in PSIR paper 1, what sort of topics we are going to study. And then I would come in, and again I would also explain to you PSIR paper 2. Since I teach PSIR paper 2, so I'll explain to you what is PSIR paper 2, what are the most important topics there which are covered in the optional paper, and also our classroom program. How do we conduct our classroom program for optional students, and how do we intend to help students in covering this particular optional paper in the best possible manner? That I will discuss with you. And then lastly, we will have a Q&A session in which we will invite as many questions as you can, all of you have, and we'd like to address all your queries regarding this optional, because we know it's a very important concern for you, and you must take a reasoned choice. You must make a reasoned choice, a very wise decision, and opt for an optional paper which suits you, which suits your interest, and also helps you in qualifying this exam. So whatever doubts you would have, we would like to clarify all those doubts also at the end of the workshop. So are you all ready to attend this workshop, students? Fine, let's start, let's commence. And online students, please switch on your cameras, all of you. So let's start this workshop right now. So I will invite Dr. Sushant Verma to start the discussion, and I will join later. Thank you, students. Thank you so much.
Yes, good evening all of you. So I welcome you to this workshop on PSIR. My name is Sushant Verma, and I take paper 1 of PSIR optional. Okay. Now, before I begin, one very common doubt which students face when they start their preparation is which optional to choose. Okay, an optional plays a very crucial role in your selection, and the right choice of the optional can help you ace this examination relatively easier. Now, we come across a lot of doubts where students ask that how do we decide which optional is best for us. Now, there are different criteria which you need to understand. The very first criteria is your interest in the optional, and second is your ability to work hard. Third is the right guidance which you are getting. So if you combine all these 3, that will be a very important asset as far as your journey of UPSC is concerned while sticking to the optional. So when we say right guidance, but before right guidance is your interest. Now, students generally say that, sir, I have interest in international relations, but I know nothing about paper 1, which is political science, okay, or political theory. Now, UPSC has divided optional of PSIR into paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1 is political theory and IGP. I will discuss in detail. Paper 2 is generally related to international relations. Okay. Now, point is that the first thing which you should do is go through the syllabus, go through the PYQs, and if you have a background in PSIR, well and good. If you do not have background, then also it's fine. So ideally, you should go through the PYQs and syllabus to get a hang of the paper, and then your interest will be very important, and your interest is that is what is going to help you stick with that optional. So by the time you clear your examination in the very first attempt, it normally you will be studying optional for 2 years, 1 year of preparation and the next 6 months for your examination, as well as when you prepare for the interview. So roughly around 2 years you have to stick with the optional. So a good optional will help you in getting good marks. And if you see this year's trend, optionals have been performing good, and PSR in particular, many students have got 280 plus, some even close to 300, and this is difficult to get in any 2 GS paper. So it is generally said that GS good performance in GS can get you entry into the list, but it is good performance in optional which will decide your rank. Okay, so your interest is going to be a crucial aspect. And third aspect I talked about is right guidance. Okay, now in your age, it's digital age, I'll say information overload is there, lot of things are there with respect to any optional. You find lot of material is there, lot of YouTube links, lot of so-called mentorship is also there where they guide students. But point is that rather than quantity, what matters is quality. So students, in your information overload, it is important to know what to study and also what not to study. So many students keep on groping in the dark if they do not get the right direction, and that is where our role comes into picture. Okay, so what we offer in our course is one-stop solution to all your worries as far as PSIR optional is concerned. Iqbal sir will be discussing more in detail about that. Now, one of the reason why students choose PSIR optional is PSIR as an optional is going to help you in all the 3 stages of examination: prelims, mains, as well as the interview section. And mains political science, if you score 280 plus, obviously you will have a very good shot in clearing this examination. And if you appear in the interview also, since many of the questions which are asked in the interview are of current affairs, either related to polity, either related to international relations, and your good understanding of PSIR will help you give a more analytical answer than what you expect from the other students. If I talk about national events, you are aware that Parliament is having a special session where they are going to take decision on 3 issues which will shape crucially the future of democracy in India. So the issue related to delimitation, issue related to actually implementing Women's Reservation Bill, which is already a part of the Constitution by 106 Constitutional Amendment Act, and third obviously relates to the delimitation part. So you find that there is a special session debate is going on in Parliament, and what opposition says that this debate is government is rushing without having proper public consultation, and opposition says that elections are there in West Bengal and Tamil Nadu also. So all this gives that government intention is not clear, but government on this part has assured southern Indian states that they will not be loser, and hence there will be justice done to those states which are better performers as far as population control is concerned, and justice also has to be done with the North Indian states. So point is that Indian Constitution is based on the values of one voter, one value, and that is where how government is trying to take opposition on board. This is about the latest political development in India. If I talk about the international development, you are aware what is going on in West Asia, and what is happening in West Asia is directly impacting all of us. So you are students, offline students, so has the price of thali increased by 10-20 rupees? This is because of increase in oil prices. Increase in the shortage of the gas, and government has invoked ESMA, Essential Services Maintenance Act, to prioritize these sectors. So point is that India, President Trump had a call with Prime Minister Modi. Second time he talked after the war started, and how to examine these developments from various higher theoretical perspectives. That's what we teach in our PSIR optional. So anyway, if you appear in the interview, your good knowledge of PSIR optional will help you in understanding the latest development related to polity or international relations and give a more nuanced answer. So that's why I said PSIR as an optional will help you in prelims, in mains as well as in interview also. And why I'm saying PSIR will help you in mains, it is not only with respect to 2 papers of PSIR, but also with respect to great overlap with the GS. So if I say PSIR overlap with GS papers, and GS papers, if you find paper 1, paper 2, paper 3 of GS as well as paper 4. So paper 1, there are many issues for example, which you study in post-independence India, like if you see land reforms, if you see the imposition of emergency, or for that matter evolution of federalism, these ideologies like communalism, socialism, communism and others, all this what we will be discussing in detail. So a good knowledge of PSIR will help you in paper 1 also. Many topics are there in paper 1 which have a overlap with our PSIR syllabus. You have got the reference syllabus is with you also, okay. And paper 2 you find is entire GS paper 2 with the exception of some governance and social issues section is subsumed under PSIR optional. So you study Indian polity, you study IR, international relations. These are all part of section B of paper 1 and paper 2 of PSIR. So paper 1 of PSIR, it includes whatever you study in polity, and paper 2 of IR includes whatever you study in international relations. And that's where we find students with PSIR optional, they generally score 100 plus every time, 3-digit in paper 2 easily. Paper 3 you find again many issues related to international security like terrorism, like if you talk about, I mentioned land reforms is also there. So all are included in PSIR syllabus that we will be studying. And in paper 4 you find the moral thinkers, the philosophy in various thinkers which you find. So various political thinkers you will be studying here, including John Rawls, Gandhi, Ambedkar. That sort we study extensively. There is also a section called ethics, ethics in international relations. That is also what we study. So point is that your knowledge of PSIR will help you get good understanding of all the sections of 4 GS papers which have an overlap with optional. And if I add essay also, every year at least one essay is directly related to the topic which we study in PSIR paper. So how your good understanding of PSIR optional will help you in acing the essay also. And essay students have been getting very good marks. So this is how in mains you find PSIR optional will help you in getting good marks in GS also because of its overlap with all the 4 papers of GS as well as the crucial essay paper. Now I will focus on the description of the syllabus. All of you online students, for your reference we have uploaded the syllabus also, you can see, okay. And like any optional paper, this is divided into paper 1 and paper 2, and both these papers have section A and section B, and same way question papers are asked. So in main examination, paper 1 of section A and section B of the PSIR question paper will have the same breakage as we there in paper 1 syllabus, and same is for paper 2 also. So section A as well as section B of PSIR paper 1 and PSIR paper 2 also, there is section A as well as section B. Now the first paper, if you study it, section A is called as political theory and section B is IGP. Here section A of paper 2, it includes comparative government and politics and international politics, and here it talks about Indian foreign policy. Now students have a familiarity with section B of both the papers. The very important reason is the students equate it with GS polity and students equate it with GS IR. So section B you are already familiar with, okay. But the point is that in both the section B of papers, both the papers, we find that to do justice to the optional, you have to write an academically rich answer which should include the theoretical perspectives and the views of the scholars. Now these theoretical perspectives we study in section A of both the papers, and that's what you have to apply the theoretical perspectives studied in section A in Indian foreign policy, as well as the theoretical perspectives which you study in section A while answering Indian government and politics along with views of the scholars. And this is how a GS answer is differentiated from an optional answer. And if you are writing GS answer in section B of paper 1 and section B of paper 2, you will not be getting marks. So point is that this familiarity makes some students overconfident also. But point is that every optional has its own demand and you have to satisfy that demand. And as I always say, that it is not the optional which fails the student. It is student who fail the optionals, because they are not able to do justice to the demand of the paper. So point is that yes, your familiarity is going to help you, but in GS you have to delve superficially. Here in optional you have to go deeper. So the more, how much deep, that's what we will train you. You shall not go much deeper so that you become suffocated. So what is the depth required? That is as per the demand of the question paper, that's it. And you find many a times the questions which are asked, the level of the questions is above that of graduation. So to what depth you have to delve into different topics, that what we train you for that. But keeping in mind strictly meeting the demands of the examination. Now paper 1 political section A of paper 1. So if I say paper 1 section A, paper 1 section A. Now for convenience we can divide it into political thought, both Indian as well as Western, and then political ideologies and concepts. Political ideologies and concepts. Now, political ideologies and concepts. When you study international relations, you will find that one of the reasons why Israel and India have become closer in the past 11 years since Prime Minister Modi came to power, experts say because parties who have been in power in both the countries are right-wing parties. BJP is a right-wing party and Netanyahu's party is also right-wing party. Now what is a right-wing party? What is a left-wing party? This all classification started during French Revolution. So those sitting on the right, they were monarchist, against change. Those sitting on the left, they were revolutionaries, pro-change. That's how the division came into being, right and left. Right wing always supports nationalism. Right wing is against immigration. Left wing supports internationalism. Left wing has liberal views on issues related to same-sex marriage, abortion, etc. Now, are you aware that elections have been held in Assam? In Assam, the anti-foreigners issue is a very important issue. So how illegal Bangladeshi immigrants have entered Assam and changed the demographic profile of Assam. So BJP as a right-wing party has said, I will kick all the immigrants out of Assam as well as West Bengal. So right wing always opposes immigration and left wing supports internationalism. Left wing has progressive views on same-sex marriages, abortion, etc. Right wing, traditional views. The Indian government has said same-sex marriage is not feasible in India. Marriage is only between two heterosexual adults, male and female. It cannot be same-sex marriage because BJP heading central government is a right-wing party. So political ideologies. So what are ideologies? Ideologies are basically belief system. Have you heard of Bhagat Singh? Bhagat Singh was the Shahid-e-Azam, he is called, Prince of Revolutionaries. So Bhagat Singh, why did he sacrifice his life? When he threw the bomb in Central Legislative Assembly, he could have run away. He threw a bomb which was harmless. And he famously said, to make the deaf hear, blasters are important. But Bhagat Singh was inspired by ideology of nationalism, that it is important to get India free from the British subjugation, and that he made supreme sacrifice, walking to the gallows. So Bhagat Singh was inspired by ideology of nationalism. And if you see the syllabus, paper 1 section A, topic number 8, there are different ideologies we are going to discuss. Liberalism, socialism, communism, etc. If you study India's preamble, is socialism mentioned in India's preamble? Yes. That was inserted by 42nd Amendment Act 1976. So what is socialism? What is liberalism? What is feminism? What is fascism? That we will be discussing. And keep in mind the preamble to Indian Constitution. All the concepts mentioned in the Indian Constitution's preamble, like justice, like liberty, like power, all we will be discussing in detail. You can see the syllabus. Paper 1 section A, topic number 3, is it justice? Topic number 4 is equality, and power is there. Now if I ask justice, what is justice? Justice is what you will say, giving every person what is due. But point is, what is due? Who is going to decide that? What is the standard of deciding what is due? If I ask you, the candidate securing maximum number of marks, prelims, mains combined, mains and interview combined, that candidate is, does that candidate deserves to be placed as number 1, rank 1? Yes. Why? Because of marks are the criteria, and marks reflect merit. And if you see why government is giving 33% reservation to women, because women are considered as weaker sections, and hence women's representation in Indian Parliament has never, in Lok Sabha specifically, has never crossed 15%. So almost 50% of India's population represented by just 15%, and that is injustice. So as a part of social justice, empowerment of the weaker sections, that's how women, SC, ST have been given reservation. But then feminists will ask, this equality which you are saying is not good, is incomplete equality. Why incomplete? You are giving a just 33% reservation. Why can't 50%? So it reflects that if you see female, if you see the women's reservation from the point of view of feminism, they will say male are reluctant to give 50% to women, because 50% of India's population is women. So proportional representation is not given, and that is still Indian state is patriarchal in nature, where men have the upper hand. See judiciary, out of 34 judges, only few are, less than 10% are women. See Prime Minister Modi's cabinet, maximum it can have is 81 ministers. How many ministers are women? Very less. So point is that this is how across the sphere, political, economic, cultural and other spheres, women are underrepresented. Why? Because women are confined to the household. All those girls present in the class, I say you are lucky, because your parents have allowed you to prepare for UPSC. And one data said that almost 70% of India's girls are married off before they reach the age of 18 years, or no, till the legal permissible age. So point is that that's why there is a gender gap. If you see the top positions of power, legislature, executive, judiciary, and all the spheres of society. How many women CEOs are there out of the Fortune 500 companies? Very less. And if you see the world's oldest democracy, US, never had a woman as a president. At least India, as the world's largest democracy, had women as president and prime ministers also. Draupadi Murmu, president, she is a first tribal woman to occupy the highest constitutional post. So this is how, what is power, what is justice, what is equality, what is democracy, that we will all be discussing in detail. So this democracy is what we say rule of the people. But what one of the prominent Indian thinkers, I will say, father of Indian Constitution, his birthday was just 2 days back, Ambedkar Jayanti. Ambedkar said that democracy has to be, what he famously said, one person, one value in all walks of life, social, political, economic. If you compare a rickshaw puller and Mukesh Ambani, will the value of their vote be one when they go to vote in an election? Yes, one person, one vote. So political sphere, they are equal. But if you talk about socio-economic sphere, great inequality. Mukesh Ambani is a very rich person and rickshaw puller can hardly meet his needs. So Ambedkar said, without socio-economic democracy, political democracy is meaningless. And that is why it is important to study Dr. Ambedkar. Because what he said, when on the eve of inauguration of Constitution, he famously said, on 25th November 1949, he famously said, we are moving into an age of contradiction, where we have equality in political sphere, one person, one vote, one value. But there is inequality in social economic sphere. And if this contradiction is not resolved soon, people's dissatisfaction will blow up the very structure which we have so laboriously built. Have you heard of something called Naxalism? Naxalism is in its last leg. And Naxalism was not only a law and order problem, it was also the development problem. Why after 70 years of India's independence, many pockets of India continue to suffer from lack of basic amenities? And people's disenchantment broke out in the form of Naxalism. That is why it is important to study ideas of Dr. Ambedkar and work towards achieving democracy in social and economic dimension. One of the Western thinkers, Plato is called as father of political philosophy. So Plato was critical of democracy. In fact, there is a city in Greece which is called as cradle of democracy, Athens. One of the reasons why Plato was critical of Athens, because he believed in democracy anybody can become anything. Governance or ruling is an art. The best qualified should rule. If I ask you, who is India's foreign minister? A. Jaishankar. A. Jaishankar is an expert in diplomacy? Yes. He is having 4 decades of career as IAS officer. So is he best qualified to be India's foreign minister? Yes, he is expert in international affairs. Have you heard of Shashi Tharoor? Shashi Tharoor is also an expert in diplomacy. And on the other hand, if you see India's, if I say petroleum minister is Hardeep Singh Puri. What is his background? Another IAS officer. If you see Ashwini Vaishnav, India's railway minister, what is his background? He is an engineer, an IITian. So can a person with technical background do justice to the job of a railway minister? Yes. And that is where Plato had said, democracy is where it's happy versatility, anybody can become anything. And he said, real ruling is where the best qualified person should occupy the top positions, the expert in that matter. But Plato did not believe in equality of the people. But what Plato talked about is corruption, which is still important today. Plato said corruption is a very big problem because people rule with an intention not to serve the people. They rule with an intention to benefit themselves. The real purpose of ruling is serving the people and not for self-benefit. And that is why he wanted to create a new breed of rulers who are above the lust of wealth or power. And the most knowledgeable person, well versed in the art of ruling, that person not to be a ruler. So that is why whatever Plato said 2500 years back approximately is still valid today. His concerns of corruption, his concerns related to equality of women. You will find that Plato was one of the first political philosophers who talked about equality of men and women. So he said women can be a ruler, women can be a soldier, male can be also a ruler, male can also be a soldier. Equality of women, 2500 years back he talked about. So this is what we will be discussing in political thought, what these thinkers said in response to the current political developments. Gandhi had views on abolition of untouchability. Gandhi had view on Swaraj, and Gandhi said, I want a Swaraj where power vests in the people. People can make the government accountable. His ideal was Gram Swaraj, that rejuvenation of Indian villages should be there, because he believed India's soul lives in villages. So we have to discuss the ideas of these thinkers, Indian as well as Western, as well as political ideologies and the concepts. You can correlate with your syllabus. Now section B, as I already said, it talks about Indian government and politics. Now in Indian government and politics, you find you have to discuss the constitution and its provisions, as well as you have to study the various applied part also, like federalism, party system, for example, role of caste, role of identity markers, you can say, role of identity politics in India, as well as social movements, for example. Now constitution and its provisions you will study in your GS also. How differently we are going to study it in optional? We are going to study it in optional because from the perspective of the theories which we have discussed earlier, as well as views of the various scholars. For example, whenever you study Indian Constitution, you have to discuss the name of a very prominent constitutional expert, Granville Austin. No discussion of Indian Constitution and its provisions is clear without discussing Austin's view. Austin, for example, said fundamental rights and directive principles are conscience of Indian Constitution. Austin says Indian Constitution is a social document committed towards social revolution. Keep in mind, 1947 was there great inequality in India? Yes, we had princely states. Some like Nizam were filthy rich, among the richest people in the world, and on the other hand India had extreme poverty, difference between male and female, upper caste, lower caste, and by one stroke of pen India adopted universal adult franchise. One person, one value, one vote. Article 14 of India's constitution talks about equality before law. It doesn't matter whether you are a rich person, whether you are son of an industrialist or you are a son of a princely state ruler, you are equal in the eyes of laws, subject to the ordinary court of the country. And by one stroke, political equality was given to females also. So universal adult franchise, one person, one value, one vote. And this is how in an essentially inegalitarian society, with one stroke of pen, framers wanted to introduce equality. Article 17 of India's constitution, it banned untouchability, practice of untouchability. punishable by law. And this is what Ambedkar had famously said. If Tilak were an untouchable, he would not have said that Swaraj is my birthright. He would have said instead, abolition of untouchability is my birthright and I shall have it. For Ambedkar and other Dalit Bahujan thinkers, freedom from internal tyranny, the caste system, is more important than freedom from external tyranny. That's why Ambedkar said, socio-economic democracy is important. Abolition of untouchability is important. Then we can enjoy political democracy in real sense. So that is how we are going to use the theories and perspectives which we have discussed in section A of this paper to examine constitution and its provisions. And in the applied part, federalism, party system. Now, in the elections going on, I said mention of role of identity politics. Identity politics like caste, religion and ethnicity, they play an important role in determination of how people also vote in elections. The latest news, I think Bihar has got a new chief minister, Samrat Chaudhary. One of the reasons why Samrat Chaudhary was made the chief minister, because BJP wanted a person from OBC category to replace Nitish Kumar, who also happened to be an OBC leader. So BJP made Samrat Chaudhary a chief minister of Bihar. If you see Uttar Pradesh, BJP has tried to strike a balance among the different caste leaders. Who is the chief minister of Uttar Pradesh? Adityanath Yogi. He is a Rajput, but he is having two deputy chief ministers. Keshav Maurya, an OBC leader, and Brajesh Pathak, a Brahmin. So how strike a caste balance in very important state of Uttar Pradesh? Similarly, ethnicity. Manipur has got a new chief minister belonging from Meitei community and two deputy chief ministers belonging from two other main communities. One of them is Naga and Kuki-Zom, because BJP wanted to bring an end to ethnic conflict which is there in Manipur. So a government BJP set up which should be seen as inclusive of all major sections of Manipur population. So BJP wanted to strike an ethnic balance as far as composition of ministry in Manipur is concerned. And this is where ethnicity plays a very important role in determining the policies of political parties. Have you heard of Chipko movement? Chipko movement started in 1973, where women hugged the trees to protect them from being felled down. This was example of social movement. And the very last syllabus, last topic of paper 1 section B, topic number 11, talks about social movements. So what are social movements? Social movements are not individual movements. Social movements are collective movements. They can be pro-change or resisting change. Chipko movement, how women were protesting against deforestation, which had led to lot of adverse effects in their daily lives. So they hugged the trees to protect them from destruction. That was anti-change. And that's what we have to discuss women's movement. And the 33% reservation given to women is one of the success of women's movement in India. That's how they have pressurized all the political elites to accommodate women within the Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. In the third tier of our federation, first tier center, second tier states, third tier panchayats and municipalities. So in panchayats and municipalities, many states have already given 50% reservation to women. So that's why feminists say, when you can trust women with 50% reservation in local bodies, why can't you trust them with 50% reservation in Vidhan Sabha and Lok Sabha? That at least 50% should be given. and that is where role of identity politics. Women have become a crucial vote bank for the political parties. You can see how in Maharashtra elections, Ladli Bahin Yojana played a very important role in getting votes for the current government. Similarly, in Jharkhand, similar cash incentive scheme was given to women, and that played an instrumental role in bringing the JMM government back to power. So, how political parties are cultivating women as a proper constituency, learning from what Nitish Kumar had done in Bihar, cultivated a women constituency, many pro-women policies. In Delhi, for example, you find traveling in DTC buses is free. You get a pink ticket. That is example of women-friendly policies. And all in the ongoing elections, you can see how different parties are competing for women's vote. So, party system and federalism we will be discussing in detail. So, how federalism, one of the critical factors in evolution of federalism is party system. Whenever there is one party rule at the center, like what was Congress till 1967, from 1947 to 1967, BJP from 2014 till 2024, one party dominant system, one party majority at the center. It generally, federalism generally turned towards the centralizing tendency. Only in a multi-party coalition, the federal axis becomes stronger. So currently, who is in power in center along with Prime Minister Modi? Other regional parties. We have a coalition government. So Prime Minister Modi's government is supported by TDP, Chandrababu Naidu's party from Andhra Pradesh, and JDU, Shiv Sena, and a host of regional parties. If government wants to pass the 131st Amendment Bill of the Constitution, government needs 2/3 majority, and 2/3 majority cannot be there without taking opposition on board. That is why a wide consultation is required, taking opposition on the board. The way 106 Constitutional Amendment Act 2023 was passed unanimously. All political parties supported giving women reservation. So how the different party composition has a direct impact on federalism. So like K.C. Weir said, India is a quasi-federation. And what different scholars said, it is a bargaining federation. What Granville Austin said, Indian constitution is a cooperative federalism. Why did they say so? How it has evolved out? That we will be studying in detail. So in IGP section, you delve much deeper as compared to what we study in GS Polity. So to do justice to the answer, you have to write an academically rich answer. Okay. So this is how I have discussed section B, I have discussed section A. Now I request Iqbal sir, he will be focusing more light on paper 2 and what are the important features of our classroom program, how we will be helping you. Okay, just hold on.
So students, you just had a discussion with Sushant sir on paper 1. So let's briefly, I'll tell you about the paper 2 also, PSR paper 2, as you are all very well aware that as far as optional papers are concerned, they have 2 papers, paper 1 and paper 2. So let's have a discussion on paper 2. I'll let you know students which are the main topics as far as PSR paper 2 is concerned, and also help you understand the kind of approach you should have while covering paper 2 and what are the most important topics as far as paper 2 is concerned. You all must have got these handouts also, which has the syllabus, and online students, you can also download this from the portal. So the syllabus, let's have a quick look at the PSR paper 2 syllabus, students. Its syllabus is given to you in the handout, so let's have a quick look at it. So PSI paper 2 also, students, is divided into 2 sections, section 1 and section A and section B. Section A, let's discuss first of all. Section A, students, is about comparative politics and international relations. So basically PSI paper 2 section A is about comparative politics and also international IR related theories and most important concepts of IR. So let you briefly know which are these topics which we study in PSI paper 2. The first 4 chapters of PSI paper 2, first 4 chapters of section A are related to this particular topic called comparative politics. Comparative politics, the first 4 chapters here, they are related to comparative politics. What is comparative politics? As the name itself suggests, comparative politics, that means we need to do a comparative analysis of the political systems of different countries. What do you think, students? Do you think the political system in different countries, it is the same? What political system India has or what America has is the same, or what African countries have the same? No. Each and every nation has its own political system. There may be certain similarities also in those political systems, and there may be differences as well. For example, many of you may say India and US have similar political systems because India is also a democracy, America is also a democracy. That is true, but the political system is very different. Yes, America also has an elected government, India also has an elected government, but we follow a prime ministerial form of government. We have the Westminster style of political system, whereas America has presidential form of democracy, and presidential form of democracy is very different from the prime ministerial form of democracy. So the political systems are very different in different countries. And what is your opinion, students? We are talking about PSR paper 2. PSR paper 2 is international relations. The whole, what is this optional? Political science and international relations, PSIR. PSR paper 1 is political science, PSR paper 2 is all about international relations. So when we study international relations, we do a study of foreign policy of states also. Because what is IR? IR is study of relations between the states of the world. So what sort of a foreign policy a particular state follows, we do a study of that. Now, do you think a country's political system has an impact on its foreign policy? Do you think its domestic politics, what is happening politically inside a particular state, will have an impact on its foreign policy? Yes, it does have an impact. Therefore, if you want to understand foreign policy of different states, for example, if you want to understand Trump's policies, you want to understand what are America's policies, what sort of policies Donald Trump is following, then you must know what is happening in America's politics. You must know about America's political system. If you are aware about domestic politics of USA, it will help you understand America's policies. Therefore, when we study international relations, when we study international politics, we must know the political systems which are operating in different countries, what are the differences, and that will have an impact on international politics also. In order to have better understanding of international politics, we must do comparative analysis of political systems operating in different nations. And that is what we do under this topic called comparative politics, that is comparing political systems of different states. And there are so many methods and theories to do this. For example, there is a political economy method to do comparative politics, political sociology perspective to do comparative politics, political development approach, political modernization approach, system approach. Different approaches are there in order to do comparative politics, in order to do comparative analysis of political systems, which we do in this particular topic. Then also we have to compare the formation of state. Formation of state, how nations, how state has emerged all over the world, what have been the different, do a comparative analysis on how state formation has happened in different parts of the world. Are you aware, students, there are different ideologies in the world. There's a capitalist ideology, there's a communist ideology, there's a socialist ideology. So state formation has also depended on that. For example, communist states which follow socialist ideology or the communist ideology is very different from those states which have been following the capitalist ideology. So what is the difference of state formation in socialist countries, capitalist countries, developed countries, developing countries? The kind of state formation which has happened in the developed world is very different from the developing world. The kind of developmental challenges which countries are facing in developing countries is very different from the kind of economic and political system which we have in the capitalist states or the socialist states. So doing a comparison of state formation in different societies based on different ideology and their developmental indicators, that is what also we must discuss. And also students, the third is the politics of representation and participation. That means in different countries how there are different ways how they try and ensure politics of representation. In representative democracy, students, people elect their representatives, and elected representatives would formulate policies on the behalf of the people. That's what happens in a democracy. What's a democracy? A government by the people, of the people, for the people. But students, even if there are representative democracies in the world, but their differences are there. For example, political parties in India and political parties in many Western countries, there is a difference between them. For example, in Western countries, what is the nature of political parties? In Western countries, political parties have internal democracy. Political parties are financially accountable. But when you look at political parties which are, for example, in South Asia, if you look at them, internal democracy is not there. Majority of the political parties still is based on dynasty rule. You understand what is dynasty rule? There are certain families, certain individuals who keep on leading the political parties, and hereditary rule is going on. For example, students, in Bangladesh, you may have heard about a political party called Awami League, which is a political party of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and his daughter Sheikh Hasina has been the leader of that particular political party. There's another ruling party in Bangladesh right now is BNP, Bangladesh Nationalist Party, and that was the political party of Khalida Zia. Khalida Zia was the leader of this particular political party, Bangladesh Nationalist Political Party. In fact, originally BNP was, started in Bangladesh by the military dictator of Bangladesh. His name was Ziaur Rahman. Later, his wife Khalida Zia became the leader of the party. Now, after Khalida Zia, now Tariq Rahman, the present Prime Minister of Bangladesh, is the leader of that party. That means there's a dynasty rule. There's a family rule going on in the political party. Internal democracy is not there. Similarly, you go to Sri Lanka, you will find the Rajapaksa family there. You go to Pakistan, you'll find the Sharif family there, or you'll find the Bhutto family there ruling politics of Pakistan. You come to India, you have Indian National Congress here, where we see the rule of the Gandhi family dominating a particular political party. Therefore, you see, in developing countries and in South Asia also, we have seen political parties, they lack internal democracy, which is not the same in the Western countries. In Western countries, political parties are more financially accountable. They have internal democracy also. So the nature of political parties in the developed world and the developing world is different. Then also electoral systems are also different. What sort of electoral system we follow in the developed world and the developing world, there also you see a lot of difference. Also students, also the party system. For example, we have a multi-party system. America has a two-party system. There are only two political parties in America, Democrats and Republicans, whereas in India you have multiple political parties. So we need to do comparison. We need to do this comparison as far as politics of representation, participation is concerned, that what is the difference in the nature of political parties of the developed world and the developing world. Similarly, pressure groups, similarly, social movements. How pressure groups in the developed world are different from the developing world. How social movements which emerge in the developed world is different from the developing world. So these differences also we discuss. The basically overall comparative analysis of the political systems all over the world, developed world, developing world, capitalist societies, socialist societies, doing a cross comparison of political system and its variables in these societies, we do in this particular topic that is called comparative politics. And then also students, globalization, because globalization, and it's a very important topic, several chapters of the syllabus you find this topic, that is globalization. What is globalization? Integration of the global economy. The global economy has integrated. We have seen an integrated global market emerging. So this globalization have also had impact. It have had impact on developed countries and also on developing countries. what sort of impact it had on developed countries, what sort of impact it has had on developing countries, which countries have benefited more from globalization, which countries have suffered because of globalization. This analysis we do in this fourth chapter. Then students, the most important chapter of the PSIR paper 2 syllabus. The most important chapter of PSIR paper 2 syllabus is this chapter, approaches to study international relations. In fact, our paper 2 classes will start from this chapter. I always recommend my students that whenever you start studying PSIR paper 2, the most important chapter where you should have thorough conceptual clarity, crystal clear conceptual clarity, is approaches to study international relations. Because when you study international relations, there are different theoretical approaches which has been suggested by experts and scholars to understand IR. Therefore, this chapter is also known as theories to study IR. You may call it theories to study IR, or you may call it approaches to study IR. It is one and the same thing. And there are multiple theoretical perspectives. For example, there's an idealist perspective to understand IR, realist perspective, Marxist perspective, functionalist perspective, systems theory, or even social constructivist theory, postmodernist theory. There are so many different theories which have been suggested to understand international relations. For example, students, our first Prime Minister Nehru's understanding of IR was very idealistic. Nehru followed an idealistic prism to understand international relations, where he believed that in an ideal world, states must cooperate. In an ideal world, countries must cooperate with each other and resolve all problems peacefully. So Nehru was an idealist. His foreign policy was based on idealism. But our first deputy prime minister of our country, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, his viewpoint on foreign policy was based on realist approach, realism. Realism says that in international politics, countries must give importance to their national interest. That should be given your priority number one. And international politics is all about power struggle. All countries, all states, all nation states are competing for power. It's a competition for power. Therefore, you should be ready for this power struggle, and your first priority should be your national interest and national security. And the realism rejects the possibility of cooperation between states. Realism says sovereign states cannot cooperate because they're competing for power, they're power hungry. That is the realist perspective on understanding international relations. Similarly, there's a Marxist perspective. There are different theories to understand IR. This is the most important chapter. We spent several lectures on helping you understand IR theories. Why, students? I must tell you one thing. A lot of you who are wanting to opt for PSIR optional paper or may have interest in PSIR optional paper, they may have, one of the reasons must be that you may have interest in IR. You may have interest in international relations, you may have interest in international politics. You really get fascinated when you read about how Iran and America is having a war, or Israel and Iran is having a war, how Donald Trump is trying to impose tariffs all over the world, how India and Pakistan, last year we saw this development regarding Operation Sindoor. So these IR related topics must be fascinating you. You may be having a lot of interest in international relations, and therefore you opt for the PSIR optional. But one mistake often students make when they prepare for PSIR optional, the IR syllabus is there in your GS also. In your mains exam, in GS paper 2, you get several questions on international relations, and your IR syllabus is part of a PSIR optional also. In the PSIR syllabus also you have IR, in your GS also you have IR. Now, a lot of students, they do not understand that the requirement of international relations syllabus in GS is very different from optional. Optional requirement is very different, and you need to understand that. For example, if it is a GS lecture, or if you're preparing for general studies, in that we study international IR issues and we only do more or less a factual analysis of IR issues. For example, right now there's a war going on between the US and Iran, in which Israel is also involved. And if we have to discuss that issue from a GS perspective, general studies perspective, then we'll study first of all, why is this war going on? What are the reasons behind this power tussle between Israel and Iran and US and Iran? The reasons for the war. Then we will discuss what impact this war will have on global politics. For example, you may be very well aware, because of this war, there is an oil crisis in the world today. The oil supply from Strait of Hormuz have been disrupted by Iran. So what impact it will have on global economy? Then we'll also discuss what impact this Israel-Iran war or US-Iran war will have on India's interest. And what can India do to overcome these challenges? This is the kind of analysis we do in the GS paper. That is a GS expectation. But if the same question is asked in your PSI or optional, that examine or evaluate the impact of the ongoing war in Iran on India's interest. If such a question you get in the PSI or optional paper, the requirement is very different. Your approach has to be very different. When you attempt a question in the PSIR paper, an IR question, you are not supposed to only do a factual analysis. You will use IR theories. You will use IR theories to understand the international relations development which is happening in the world. If a war is happening, you will use the realist theory to understand that why a war is happening in West Asia. You can even use Marxist perspective to understand that how America is interested in the oil resources of Persian Gulf, wants to exploit the oil resources of Persian Gulf. Therefore, America is interested in dominating this region, and that is one of the reasons for this war. So use IR theories to understand IR developments. That is what you are expected to do in optional, but that is not the requirement of the GS. In fact, GS students would also not know these IR theories in detail. But in the optional, you are supposed to know. So in optional, when you are attempting the same question, you will use IR theories to do an analytical analysis, an academic analysis of IR developments. And then also you will use important IR concepts. Important IR concepts, that's your next chapter, key concepts of international relations. This is the second most important chapter of the PSR paper 2 syllabus. You must know what do you mean by national interest, what do you mean by national security, what is balance of power, what is nuclear deterrence, what is collective security, what is the role of nuclear proliferation in the world. So because you must be reading about this, that how America is also very upset and is concerned that Iran may end up developing nuclear weapons that will result in nuclear proliferation. So these are key concepts of IR. So when you attempt a PSIR question, IR question in the PSIR paper, you're expected to use IR theories, you're expected to use key concepts of IR to write a more academically rich answer. In the GS paper, you write a factual answer. In the optional paper, you are supposed to do an academic analysis. You are supposed to write an academically rich answer, a more analytical answer, where you will use IR theories and key concepts, and also views of the experts. There are so many experts which we will discuss in our classes, experts which have given expert viewpoints on IR related issues. If you have been reading the newspaper, students, in Indian Express newspaper, you may have read about IR articles written by a scholar called C. Raja Mohan. Have you heard his name, C. Raja Mohan? He writes in Indian Express. Now, C. Raja Mohan is a realist scholar. He believes in the theory of realism. So when you write the realist perspective of a particular IR development in your optional answer, you will use the viewpoint of scholars like C. Raja Mohan. Similarly, there are so many scholars who write in the newspapers, who have been writing books on IR issues, and we will teach you all those scholars in the classes, and you are also expected to quote those expert viewpoints. Quote expert viewpoints, quote scholarly viewpoints while attempting an optional answer. So an optional answer will have should necessarily have, and I'm talking about IR questions in the PSR optional should necessarily have theoretical analysis, use of theories, also use of key concepts of IR, also use of the viewpoints of the scholars and experts. That is what will make your PSIR optional answer different from your GS answer. If you write GS like answers in your PSIR optional paper, and specifically I'm talking about IR questions, you will not get good marks. Because in the PSIR in GS, the expectation of the examiner is that you write a generic answer. But in optional, the expectation is to write an academically rich answer where a theoretical analysis is required. And this theoretical analysis you do with the help of these IR theories. Therefore, in all your PSIR paper 2 questions, you will use IR theories. That is why IR theories is the foundation of PSIR paper 2. If you are not able to understand IR theories, you cannot score good marks in PSIR paper 2. You will get theory specific questions also, And you will also use these theories in all your IR questions as far as PSI paper 2 is concerned. That is what will make your optional answers different from your GS answers, because the same topic IR is in the GS syllabus also, and the same topic IR we study in optional as well, but the requirement of the optional is very different from general studies. And in that context, you need to understand that these two chapters, the approaches to study IR and key concepts of IR, are very important chapters. Then students, next, what is your viewpoint? What do you think? International politics is static or it is dynamic? International politics is very dynamic. It is constantly changing. New developments keep on happening. World order keeps on changing. There used to be a time world order was bipolar, then it became unipolar, now it is becoming multipolar. So how world order has changed, evolution of international politics, that is what we discuss in this chapter, changing international political order. How there used to be a period of Cold War, there used to be two superpowers who were involved in a power tussle. During Cold War period, there was this NAM movement, in which India was also one of the front runners. If you are aware, India made a great contribution in launch of the NAM movement. What was India's role in NAM? How India contributed in NAM? How our first Prime Minister Nehru contributed in the NAM movement? And then also collapse of Soviet Union, end of Cold War, and now we are heading towards new Cold War. So how international politics has changed over the years and American hegemony is on the decline, that is what we discuss in this particular chapter. Then we also discuss evolution of international economic system. How has international economy over the years evolved? What are the major important institutions which are involved in international economic structure? In this, we discuss these Bretton Woods institutions. Bretton Woods institutions are mentioned in the syllabus. Which are Bretton Woods institutions? Students, during Second World War, an international conference had happened of world leaders in a resort town called Bretton Woods in New Hampshire in USA. In that conference, world leaders decided that let's create international institutions like IMF and World Bank. Economic institutions like IMF and World Bank were established as a result of the Bretton Woods Conference. An agreement was signed in the Bretton Woods Conference called Bretton Woods Agreement. So that is why this IMF and World Bank are also known as Bretton Woods institutions. So in this chapter, we study detailed study of IMF and World Bank, WTO, World Trade Organization. That is what we do in this particular chapter. So we first study evolution of international politics, how there was a Cold War period, then Soviet Union got disintegrated, America won the Cold War, America started dominating the world, American hegemony emerged, American dominance emerged. Now American hegemony is on the decline. China is a rising power. How new Cold War is emerging. How NAM has lost its relevance. This entire evolution we discuss here. And while doing all of this also, in each and every chapter we have to use theories. For example, when you study Cold War history also, we'll study realist perspective on Cold War, social constructivist perspective, Marxist perspective. You have to do theoretical analysis, which is not required in your GS IR questions, but required here in your optional paper. That only will give you good marks in optional. So therefore, theoretical analysis, conceptual clarity is very important. Then students also, as far as the section A is concerned, in section A, we also have these chapters in which we are supposed to do detailed study of international organization, United Nations, and also regional organizations. UN is a very important international organization. What has been UN's objective? What has been its performance, whether it has been successful or not, whether it is losing relevance, what reforms are required, what is India's contribution in UN. The detailed discussion we do in this chapter. And also regional organizations like European Union, SAARC, BIMSTEC, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, that is also in the syllabus. Then also global challenges. Today in a world of globalization, we have global concerns, global challenges like environmental issues, climate change, global warming, human rights issues are there. Democracy is a big concern because in many countries we are seeing that democratic political systems are crumbling. Why is that taking place? Then also spread of nuclear weapons, nuclear proliferation, the problem of terrorism. These are all global concerns. So on this also detailed study is required. So that is what we study in PSIR paper 2 section A. Paper 2 also has 2 sections. Section A has all these topics about international politics, what all is happening in international politics, and also IR theories and IR concepts. Section B, students, is about, section B is totally dedicated towards India's relationship with the world. Section A, we do theoretical analysis. Section A, we study about IR issues of the world. We study about the IR theories, IR concepts. We also do comparative analysis of different political systems. And when we move to section B of the syllabus, section B is all about having a detailed study of India's relationship with the world. What sort of relationship India has been able to develop with the global community, also with various different countries. That is what we study here. The first chapter, students, is India's foreign policy, determinants of India's foreign policy. What do you mean by determinants of foreign policy? Determinants means certain factors are there which may determine foreign policy making. So if I talk about India, which are those factors? Do you think history and geography of India will have an impact on our foreign policy development? Yes, that's a determining factor. History and geography determine Indian foreign policy. Our politics determine our policy. Leadership also matters. International political structure also matters. Economic variables also matters. There are so many factors which determine foreign policy of our country. They are called determinants of foreign policy. Detailed discussion is required. Then institutions of policy making. Which institutions are there in our country which help in foreign policy making, which play a role in formulation of foreign policy? For example, Ministry of External Affairs is there, PMO, Prime Minister's Office, NSA's Office, National Security Advisor, role of Parliament, role of National Security Council, role of media, role of think tanks and universities, there is role of cabinet. So many institutions are involved in formulation of foreign policy. That is what we study in the first chapter, determinants of Indian foreign policy and institutions. Then what has been India's contribution to NAM, which we have already discussed. So that is also part of the syllabus. Then also India's relationship with South Asia. India's relationship with South Asian neighbors, India, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Maldives, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan. These countries are relationship with South Asia. What sort of relationship India has been able to develop with these countries and what challenges we are facing. Also, an organization have been developed to ensure cooperation between South Asian countries called SAARC. So what problems SAARC is facing? That also we have to do detailed study. Then also India's relationship with Southeast Asia. That is a Look East policy which we had launched to develop good relationship with Southeast Asia, which the present government has now renamed as a Act East policy. So the detailed discussion of that is also required. Then also India's relationship with the global south. What is global south, students? The rich and the developed countries of the world are known as global north. And the poor and developing countries of the world are described as global south. And majority of the rich countries of the world, of course there will be exceptions also, majority of the developed countries are in the northern hemisphere. Of course, exceptions are also there. And majority of the developing and poor countries are in the southern hemisphere. That is why the rich world is known as global north, poor world is known as global south. And India has always stood up for the global south. India has always supported global south. India wants to become the voice of the global south. So what sort of relationship India has with the global south countries, that is also something which we must discuss. Then also India's relationship with the major power centers of the world. For example, India, US, India, Japan, India, China, India, Russia, India, Europe. That is also in the syllabus. A detailed discussion of all this is required. And also what has been India's contribution in United Nations. And also students, India's relationship with West Asia, that is also in the syllabus. West Asia is where today there is an ongoing war between Israel and Iran and US and Iran. What relationship we have with the Arab countries, with Iran, with Israel, that is also a very important part of the syllabus. And also India is today, if you look at India, students, India has become a nuclear weapon state. India is a nuclear weapon state. A nuclear weapon state is a state which possesses nuclear weapons. There are how many nuclear weapon states in the world today, students? There are 9 nuclear weapon states in the world. India is one of them. So what is India's nuclear policy. What is India's stance on the issue of nuclear disarmament, nuclear proliferation, NPT, CTBT? What is India's stance on that? And what is India's nuclear doctrine? You may be aware India's nuclear doctrine is NFU, no first use. That we'll never use a nuclear weapon first. Then when are we going to use it? We are going to use it to defend ourselves. If we are attacked, then we will use nuclear weapons to defend ourselves. Therefore, we will never do the first strike. We will always do the second strike. Our nuclear weapons are not for an offensive purpose, they are for a defensive purpose. That is India's nuclear doctrine. That is also in the syllabus which we have to discuss. And how our doctrine has been evolving, how it has been changing. Again, theories we will use. Theories. In all these chapters, we'll use theories. If we're studying India, Japan, for example, India, China, India, Russia, we'll do theoretical analysis, realist perspective on India-Russia relationship, Marxist perspective on India-Russia relationship, or idealist perspective on India-Russia relationship. Theoretical analysis has to be done in the optional. So this is what you do in section B. So this is the syllabus. Section A is about comparative politics and theories of IR, key concepts of IR, and major global issues and international organizations and regional organizations. Also evolution of international politics. Section B is India's relationship with the world. So these are the two sections of PSIR paper 2. That is we do in PSIR paper 2. Also students, I would like to tell you that what approach has to be followed in the course which we are going to have with you, the classroom program which we have with you, what approach we follow in the classroom program to help you in the best possible manner to cover this optional paper. So let me briefly tell you about that also. The basic tenets which we have of our classroom program, which is also given to you in this handout itself. We have listed all of that for you. So let's have a discussion on that as well. So first of all, students, as far as our classroom program is concerned, the whole purpose of the classroom program is that we want to create a one-stop solution for you as far as optional preparation is concerned. Students, the pattern of the exam has changed over the years, and it is very important to understand that what is a requirement of the exam. The purpose is not here to become scholars and experts of topics. The purpose is to do such preparation which is exam specific, which will help you in exam preparation. And for that we have designed the entire course, keeping in all of that in mind and making sure that we give you one-stop solution as far as PSR optional preparation is concerned. For that students, our focus always is on conceptual clarity and theoretical understanding. Like I have been telling you students that it's very important to use theories and concepts in your PSR optional answers, not just paper 2, paper 1 also. So Shan sir just had a discussion with you on PSR paper 1 where he must have discussed with you that ideologies are there in the syllabus. Different ideologies, liberalism, Marxism, idealism, different ideologies, socialism, also Gandhi's philosophy, Marx's philosophy, Plato, Aristotle, Western political thought, Indian political thought, ideas of Aurobindo, ideas of Rabindranath Tagore, Ambedkar. These are all in your PSIR paper 1 syllabus. So when you attempt questions PSIR paper 1 also, you are expected to use these philosophies, these theoretical perspectives, viewpoint of philosophers to do write a academically rich answer, theoretically rich answer. And you will be able to do that only if you have conceptual clarity and theoretical understanding. Therefore, in the classroom program, students, there is focus on lucid explanation instead of mere dictation of notes. That is not the priority. If you're going to come to the classroom, sit here for 2.5 hours, and I sit on this cozy chair and dictate notes to you, that is not teaching students. That's not going to help you, because notes are anyways available to you. You can get hold of notes from anywhere. But your purpose of coming to the classroom should be that you should get crystal clear clarity on theories and concepts. Because many of you may not be from political science background also. Many of you may be from different academic backgrounds. So as a teacher, it's my duty to make sure that whichever background you belong to, you should develop complete clarity on all theories and concepts as far as PSIR is concerned. And that's what we intend to do here. So we try and make the class as interactive as possible so that we are able to give you lucid explanation of all the topics instead of just mere dictation of notes. As far as notes is concerned, exam ready, concise and material, study material will be given to you, exam specific, which will adhere to the requirement of the exam in the form of class handouts. Like you have got a handout today, so all our lectures will be accompanied with class handouts. We are going to give you concise, well-researched, exam-ready study material, which will adhere to the requirement of the exam. Because students, you know, the requirement of the exam is very different. I'll tell you, for example, what is a word limit? In your PSR paper, you would get questions where you are supposed to write 150 words or 200 or 250 words. That's, or max 300. That's your, you know, word limit. So if you read, for example, one book on philosophy of Gandhi or Karl Marx, one full book of 200 pages, 300 pages, how is that going to help you? Because eventually in the exam you have to write 250 words and you're reading a thick book. How is that going to help you? So you must have such notes which are exam specific, well researched notes which are exam specific, which would adhere to the requirement of the examination. That is why for the entire syllabus, each and every lecture which we have with you, on each and every topic which we teach you, will give you study material for that. Class notes will be provided to you in the form of typed handouts. We are not going to do this mere dictation of notes. That is wastage of your time also. That time we will utilize in explaining topics to you. They're helping you develop conceptual clarity, theoretical understanding, and discussing PYQs. Previous year questions. For each and every topic which we teach, we discuss all PYQs. When once a topic is finished, then after completing the topic, in the class itself, all previous year questions will be discussed. That is how we intend to use the classroom time more qualitatively, so that you also get to a hang of things, that what kind of questions are asked in the exam, and what should be my approach to address those questions, to answer those questions. What should be my approach in writing answers? What should be the structure of my answer, content of my answer? On each and every aspect of answer writing, we will help you. So PYQ discussions will be done in the class. Thorough explanation of all topics will be done, and class notes will be given to you in the form of typed handouts on a daily basis. So that is the pedagogy of teaching we follow here, which is taking into consideration the requirement of the examination. Also, students, timely and comprehensive coverage of the syllabus is a promise to you which we make, that we intend to finish this course within 6 months. It's a 6-month course and it gets finished within 6 months. Because we do realize your time is very precious. You're all paying a very heavy opportunity cost to prepare for civil service examination. So things have to be done, structured in such a manner that in time-bound manner everything should get completed. And that promise we fulfill always. So 6-month course, 7 days a week you will have lectures. You won't have a holiday, except the fact that there may be some national holiday when we can't conduct classes, or God forbid, if for some medical reasons, if both of us we have some problem, we may declare a holiday. Otherwise, 7 days a week there has to be classes, and 6-month commitment to finish the course is there. Then students, also as far as our course is concerned, we also realize that there are a lot of interlinkages in both optional papers. You have the Marxist approach in PSR paper 2 also, and you study Karl Marx in paper 1 as well. You study the idealist theory here, you also study liberalism and idealism in paper 1 as well. So both topics, PSR paper 1 topics, paper 2 topics, are interlinked. So that interlinkage also you have to understand the class, which we will explain to you. If you are able to understand the interlinkage and reproduce that in your answers, that also is going to impress the examiner. An interdisciplinary approach is always going to give you an edge over your competitors. That also we intend to develop in our classroom. Then also students, as you have already interacted with Sushant sir and myself, we both are your PSI faculty members, and we always provide our guidance and mentorship to students. We make our classroom group where we always stay in touch with our students forever, till the time they are not able to achieve their goal. Even after the lectures, if they want, after the course also, if they want any guidance, you can anytime come and get in touch with us. And students, one more thing which is actually very important, that is that as far as our course is concerned, this course, we understand that, like I was telling to you, 50% of the optional preparation is about understanding topics, memorizing content. 50% is writing. You have to develop good answer writing skills if you want to score good marks in the optional paper. You must know how to structure answers. You must know how to do theoretical analysis of optional topics, and for that certain amount of answer writing skill is required, and theoretical understanding is also required, and also PYQ discussions help a lot in that. Therefore, students, answer writing program is part of the course. Every weekend there will be a test. Every weekend we will have a test for the topics which we have discussed during the week. We'll have conduct tests for previous year questions. Previous year questions will be discussed in the class as well, and on the weekend there will be a test also. A small test, 1 hour test, and twice a month there will be these longer tests, 2 hours, 3 hour tests, and then as we finish syllabus, we start having full length tests also, FLTs as well. In the entire course, there will be at least 25 to 30 detailed tests which you will have to write. And evaluation you would be getting from the faculty members, feedback from the faculty members on what you write in the classroom, and also students model answers for all the questions which will be coming in the test. We will provide that as well. So answer writing program, answer writing workshops also I will conduct with you, in which I'll tell you how to approach optional answers, how to structure optional answers, how can you write best possible answers in the required time limit, also in the required word limit also. In the optional paper, you need to understand there are 3 limits you are dealing with. One is time limit, second is word limit, third is space limit. Have you seen the answer script of UPSC? In the answer script of UPSC, it's not like your college exam where they give you a answer script and a question paper. You start attempting questions and you can write as much as you want to. If you even require an extra sheet, you tell the examiner, sir, I need an extra sheet. They'll give you an extra answer script. Then you do use extra sheets also. Then they give you a thread and you attach everything and submit. That's not happening here. That's not happening here. In your UPSC paper, optional paper, you are given an answer script where the question paper is printed on the top of the page and you are given space, certain amount of space to write the answer. Within that space you have to write. You cannot tell the examiner, so I need an extra sheet, I need more space. No, within the given space you have to write. And after that space you have the second question. And in that answer script itself you have to finish all the answers. For 10 mark questions you are given 2 pages to write. For 15 mark questions you are given 3 pages to write. For 20 markers you are given 4 pages to write. That is all. This is the space limit also you have. You cannot do that, what you do in college, you wrote something wrong, or you think that my answer is not very good or structure is not very good. You cut it and then you write PTO, please turn over, examiner, go to the next page. That's not going to happen here. You are not allowed to make mistakes here. Within the space limit you have to write. Then you have word limit also, time limit also, because you have to attempt 19 questions in 3 hours. This is almost a science, how to attempt this paper. So for that, detailed answer writing workshops I will conduct with you, help you how to attempt questions, conduct weekly tests on all topics, and full length tests also later. Weekly tests, sectional tests, and full length tests would be conducted throughout the course. Answer writing workshops. So answer writing program is part of your classroom program, integrated into it. So this is the approach we follow, which I believe all of you should follow. Either you are associated with us, studying with us, or even if you are preparing on your own. This is the approach which is required to crack this exam, ace this exam. And that is what we will do for you. And like I told you, 2.5 hour lectures, 7 days a week, and in the class itself you will get exam ready study material and notes for all the topics which we do. So this approach we follow to cover the PSIR optional. So students, this is what I wanted to discuss with you. Now I would like to open up the floor for questions also, Q&A session as well. If you have any doubts, any questions, any inhibition you have in your mind, any sort of inhibition which may be related to the syllabus or it may be not also, you may ask, and I would really love to help you in making you a choice on your optional paper, that which optional you should choose. So please feel free to ask if you want to ask any questions. Please call us Sushant sir also. So Ashu is asking this question that whether we should do PSIR first or GS first. It is a personal choice, students. It depends what is your target year. When are you going for your, when is your attempt, whether it is 2027, whether it's 2028, how much time you have with you. That will determine your choice, whether you have to do both simultaneously or you can do one by one. So that's how you can do that. Any more questions, students, you have? Online students, do you have any more questions which you like to ask? Okay, fine. So offline students, do you have any queries, any questions you like to ask? Yes, go ahead. Both offline for offline students, online for online students. Both offline and online students, they will be able to appear for the tests which are held on every weekend. And for the online students, we have the portal access where you can write you can download the answer script, get a printout, write your answers, scan it and upload it on the portal, and will digitally evaluate for the online students and give you the feedback. Okay, any more doubts, students, you have? You may go ahead. Can you just see these online doubts?
Confused in PSIR and sociology.
Portal
I think as I told you in the beginning that you have to go through the syllabus, PYQs, and I would recommend you to attend the optionals of both the workshop of both the optionals. That will help you make an informed decision. Okay. CSAT online class. You can get your Ditya, you can get your batch changed. That will help you in, both.
Yes, Ditya, you would get the recorded videos also, but you can get your GS timings changed as well. You can shift to another GS batch and then you can manage both together. Okay. And you can also watch recorded videos, but we would recommend to attend the class live. Yes. Online students must try and attend the live classes. That will help you more. What's Saksham's doubt? The timings of the batch would be given. What's the timing?
11 o'clock.
11 a.m. is the timing of the batch. Yes, Ashish, what do you want to ask? No, it's part of, Ashish, I've already clarified. Tests and all workshops are part of the course. They're integrated into the course. No separate course you have to join. Any more doubts, students? You have offline students if you want to ask
Vijit is saying interested in PSIR but little worried about its dynamic structure and linkages to current affairs. Don't worry, Abhijit. That is for, we will train you in that. And Iqbal sir must have pointed, as you already discussed, that even after the course ends, stay in touch with us. Those are appearing in mains. You will get an updated handout as far as current affairs are concerned, both in paper 1 as well as paper 2. So leave your worries about the dynamic linkages. That is our part to help you.
Pranjali is asking that she's not from the this background, political science background, and would she be able to manage? It's not at all required. In fact, many students every year, they succeed by taking the PSIR optional and they do not have a background in humanities or political science. So even if you do not have the background in these topics, in these subjects, it is not going to make a difference, because when we teach in the class, we assume that all of you have no knowledge about political science. And we teach in such a manner that from basics we start, and so that you are all able to understand, even if you may have done a degree in political science. But I don't even trust what kind of degree you may have done in the colleges and universities. Some colleges are very good. They may help you develop concepts of political science. Some colleges also may not help you. You may even have a degree, still you may not have conceptual clarity. You may have a degree in political science, still you may not have conceptual clarity. So therefore, whether you have the background or you do not have the background, you must not worry. We will teach in such a manner. We start from scratch that each and every student is able to understand all the concepts in a detailed manner. And your background would not be a hindrance in that. The ones who have a political science background should not be overconfident. They also need to learn. They also need to learn and de-learn a lot of things also. Things which have been probably concepts which are not right, which have been learned wrongly, they have to also be corrected. And the ones who do not have the background, we will help them in every possible manner. In fact, our experience has been that students who do not have political science background have been doing very well in the PSIR optional paper, because like sir explained to you, there's so much of overlapping with the GS syllabus, and that is why our students are they do very well in GS paper 2 also. Mains GS paper 2 and ethics paper tend to get a very high score in that as well, which propels your chances to succeed in the examination.
As I mentioned in the beginning, that right guidance also matters. To stick to whatever we are telling you, you will be in a very good position. Have this trust. Next question. Yes, okay, yes, Bache. See, PubEd talks about, as a name itself suggests, it talks about administration. So what are the theories related to administration? What is the structure of Indian administration that you study? But political science goes beyond that. Okay, so as I mentioned that it's, in fact, the very word politics, if you are studied from humanities background, is derived from the Greek word polis. So if here we talk about political philosophy, political ideology, which you do not study in political PubEd. And moreover, the entire paper 2 is international relations, which obviously you do not study in PubEd.
So yeah, it will help you. You haven't written your name 72597 ID, so it will help you. Whether you are appearing for UGC NET exam, CUT exam, your Psir optional preparation will greatly help you in that. It has been helping our students. Yes, Saksham, what does Saksham want to ask? Olaf, yes. It's 22nd of April, Saksham, 11 a.m. Yes, Ashish, there's one more doubt from Ashish. Ashish, that you have to manage that back-to-back classes, 2 classes you have to attend every day to finish GS and optional. Generally, GS lectures would end at 10:30 if you have a 7:30 batch. Rarely it may go to 11 a.m. Okay.
Really 10:30 also.
10:30 you get free and then you get a half an hour break. Same is with us. I take GS class at 7:30 and then I have optional class at 11 a.m. So if I can manage, you can manage. I have to come and teach. You have to only come and sit. Okay. So if we can manage, you can also manage. You attend 2, I take 3. 11, 7:30, 11 and at 2:30 also at times we take 3 classes. Sushant sir also take 3 classes a day. So if teachers can manage, you can also manage. It's just that you have to develop that conviction and resilience in you that you have to do it. Okay.
Ashish has asked some questions. Your messages we got.
We have got your message, Ashish. Okay. Yes, that standalone test series program is also there. That happens after prelims. But for the workshop, for the classroom students, test series is part of the classroom program. Whole answer writing program is part of the classroom program.
Abhijit is saying he has to attempt in 2028, starting preparation now. So should I both do together or first have to start GS preparation? I will suggest to first do optional and then you can have GS. Either way. So that you finish your course and you will have one exclusive year to build on whatever you have learned in GS and optional. Okay, you can do one after another.
Ritesh.
I'm an engineering background student and on page 1 of every subject is listed in optional. I don't have any background in any subject. So what option should I go for? I'm confused in Psir, Anthro and sociology. Now, I told you that in the very beginning of the webinar that any optional, what you need is, you need to get a feel of the optional, you need to go through the syllabus, PYQs, attend the workshops and they can then make a decision. Right guidance in Vajiram is available for all the 3 optionals, Anthro, Socio and PSIR. It is your interest also, which will help you make an informed choice. So Ritesh, I will suggest you attend the webinars of all these, the workshops of all these 3 optionals and then take a final call.
So there are two parameters you should keep in mind if you're confused. First is that your interest, like you're saying, you have an equal amount of interest in both. Okay, that you have to find out which subject excites you more. Second is how the probability of the optional paper helping you succeed in the exam is going to be there. There are certain optional papers which are very doing very well in civil services, and students opting for those optional papers have been doing very well in a civil service examination. That also must be kept in mind. Both the parameters you should be taking consideration, your interest and also the probability of success. And certain optional papers, they help students succeed. Why? Because there's a lot of overlapping in the optional syllabus and the GS syllabus. So by taking up that optional paper, you also get additional help in your GS and ethics and essay. So therefore, the success rate is high. So success rate of the optional paper and your interest, these two things should be given equal importance. Also go through the syllabus and attend all workshops so that you get more knowledge and more exposure about the optional paper, and then take a call. Both, I believe, is very important. Your interest also and the success rate of the optional paper also. If you do not have interest and you join opt for an optional paper just because everybody was doing it, just because that optional paper had high success rate and you opted for it without having any interest in that, you may not be able to do it. You may not be able to enjoy, you may not be able to cover everything, and you may not enjoy the lectures, you may not enjoy the preparation. That is also not good. So your interest and success rate, both is important. You take a reasoned call on the basis of that. Okay.
Kamakshi is asking when a new batch is starting. It is starting on 22nd of April this month, and timing is 11 o'clock, 11 to 1:30.
Yes.
Some more questions? Now, should I start, Devesh is asking, should I start answer writing practice from the beginning or after the completion of the course? Along with the course. And that is, as Iqbal sir has told you, that answer writing is an integral part. It has been interwoven in that. Okay. So don't worry about that. Keep pace with the classes and practice answer writing simultaneously. That will help you in the best manner. Do not prepone it, do not postpone it. (2029) attempt. Ideal time is if you begin next year, not this year.
If your attempt year is 2029, then next year can be the ideal time to join optional classes. Yes, any more questions? Yes, any more? Yeah, other questions?
Next, Shivdharan. Should we go with IGNOU books, OP Gava, Shefali book for PSIR? If you are preparing on your own, yes, we have already included the list of the books on the optional website. You can check it on Institute's website, the optional page. And as far as if you're joining us, as Iqbal sir told you, one-stop solution. So curated material, keeping in mind the demand of the examination, has been prepared from those very standard books itself, so that it saves you a lot of time and you can maximize your effort. Yes, Vijay. Notes only. I think notes are given only to the students who join us. Okay. What is the change in mains question pattern from previous to present in GS and anthropology? Now, anthropology, we are not an anthropology expert, so we would not be able to comment on that. You attend the optional webinar that will help you. As far as GS is concerned, so syllabus was changed in 2013, and UPSC has been, I think for the last 4 or 5 years, UPSC has kept the pattern same, that in GS 20 questions, some are 20 markers, some are 15 markers, some are 10 markers, some are 20 markers. So it depends. So you have to. That's why we emphasize on going through PYQs to get a grasp of the trends of the question being asked. Okay.
Yeah, there would be a batch in June also, and then later in October as well. So you can take your call which one you want to join. So there will be 3 batches during the year. But if you have an attempt year is next year, then this is the best time to join, because then you'll be free by November, and then you'll have your 6 months to prepare for your prelims paper. So the more you delay, the more you go closer to your prelims. Your classes will end late, and then you'll get less time for self-study.
Which topics hold more weightage with regard to previous papers? It has been changing, and we do not suggest to do a selective preparation. Selective study will not help you clear this examination. What is basic demand of the examination is comprehensive coverage of the syllabus. whether it is GS, whether it is optional. So that question asked on any of the dimensions, any of the sections, you will be able to sail through it comfortably.
Ritesh is saying all subjects excite him. So in that particular case, Ritesh, you have to take one call. Unfortunately, you can't take all the subjects. So, you have to take a call. So like I told you, two parameters, your interest and success rate. And still you're if confused, then what do? Is you attend all these workshops, you get more exposure about optional papers, you'll be able to make a reasoned choice. And just not look at the syllabus. Start reading PYQs also. If you're still confused, start reading previous year questions of optional papers and see that which you are comfortable with, which sort of questions, what pattern of questions is more comfortable to you, and you make a choice on that basis. So then you have to take a choice, make a choice on the basis of all these parameters.
Confused in PubAd and PSIR. Attend optional workshop of both the papers and go through the syllabus PYQs. You will be able to make an informed choice. You need not go through the additional book. Class handout will be sufficient along with whatever is taught in the class. As Iqbal sir has said, one-stop solution to all your problems as far as optional is concerned.
Class notes would be more than sufficient to cover all the optional topics. Nothing else would be required. Even updated material would also be given to you. After your course ends, we'll keep on providing updated notes also based on current developments. So that will be more than sufficient. Nothing else would be required in that. Okay, any more doubts students you have? Clear everybody? Online students, I guess we have taken all your doubts. So thank you so much students. Thank you everybody, online students and also offline students. It was great interacting with all of you. I hope on the basis of this workshop now, you'll be able to make a choice on which optional paper you want to opt for. Okay. Thank you so much students.
See you on 22nd.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you students.